we are looking at nutrient density as a shorthand for diet quality. So we're not looking just at calories or just at nutrients, we're looking at the nutrients to calorie ratio. In the food supply, some foods have more calories than nutrients, and other foods have more nutrients than calories. So the technique of nutrient profiling separates the two. Ideally, we want to identify those foods which give you most nutrients per calorie and also give you most nutrients per penny.
Now, a lot of the things that you said people might find quite familiar, that fruits and vegetables are good for you because they're very nutrient dense but perhaps not very calorific. And at the other end of the scale, you've got your fats and carbohydrates, not so many nutrients but lots of calories. How does your approach differ? How do you think you shed light on what foods people should choose, given that we kind of already know that?
It's a very interesting point. Within the fruit and vegetable category, there is actually a continuum. Not every fruit, not every vegetable is equally nutrient rich. Some are and some are not. So for example, on the nutrient scale, you'll have leafy greens and berries and very low energy density, high nutrient rich foods. On the other hand, you have canned fruit and syrup. You have got dried fruit. You have got fruit with sugar. So there is going to be a continuum for both the fruits and the vegetables. Not everything is equally nutrient rich. Same thing with dairy products. Depending on the fat and sugar, some are going to be more nutrient rich than others.
But that presents a huge challenge both in terms of nutritional policy, but in terms of supermarket labeling. I mean, can we really get realistic information about what we should be eating?
Oh, absolutely. I think there are two things. First of all, supermarket labeling has been taking nutrient density of individual foods into account. And what's more, these days you can get a handheld app that tells you the nutrient density of foods which are good for you personally. It's a very interesting new twist because nutrient density of foods applies to the entire food supply. But some people may be more sensitive to sugar or sodium or cholesterol, and they want to have a nutrient density profile worked out specifically for them. And with advances in technology, they can have precisely that.
Now, one of the messages that seemed to be emerging towards the end of your presentation was that obesity is often associated with poverty. But you also, rather depressingly, seem to suggest that the poor are almost condemned to buying highly calorific food that fills them up, that's cheap per unit calorie, so that's your potatoes, your starches, your fats. Do you think there is a way that we can look at people at low incomes and really work to improve their diets and tackle this problem of obesity?
The economic challenge in obesity is really overwhelming. In the UK, after the great crisis of 2008, the population did go back to eating cheaper, processed, high-calorie, energy-rich foods. And in fact, Tim Lang and other academics have written a letter to the then Prime Minister explaining this. So there are a number of economic challenges. What to do is unclear. We're trying to identify aspects of what I call nutrition resilience. Within each population, there will be people who somehow seem to be getting a good diet at low cost. Who are those people? What are they doing? So we're finding, for example, that cooking at home is valuable, associated with better, more nutrient-rich diets at no extra cost. We find that selectively choosing low-cost, nutrient-rich foods is good. Beans, eggs, cheaper vegetables, but those are techniques and skills that lower income people already have. So not having an income does not condemn you to eat badly, provided that you have some nutrition knowledge and a bit of time and can cook. So there are ways to do that.
And you also mentioned the importance of it, that you're now looking at social contexts, about the food people eat, about culture. Are there, for instance, ethnic groups that tend to have healthier diets than others?
Yes, interestingly enough, in the US it was Mexican Americans, and we don't know why that was. We think maybe ethnic eating patterns, maybe reliance on rice and beans and salsa and tomatoes and so on. All those foods contribute to a healthy diet at low cost. But this is still a matter for exploration. We really need to figure out what are the cultural eating patterns, what are the taste preferences, because you can have a wonderful, wonderful diet, but if people don't like it, it's not going to work.
And what do governments need to do?
the governments need to wake up to the fact that people select diets that they like, and you cannot make them eat nutrient-rich foods, especially if those nutrient-rich foods cost more. So governments need to take into account culture, attitudes, behavior, and of course cost.